Welcome to Table for One. I'm the narrator, and in today's video, I'll be playing a solo game of Voidfall. In this video, I'm going to play on hard mode with House Nervo, starting with arc ships on the scenario Today is Not the Day. And this was a viewer request, so if you've got a particular Voidfall scenario you'd like to see, let me know. But in the meantime, let's get rolling. Alright, so I am set up to play a solo game of Voidfall. This setup was a viewer request, so the request was to play House Nervo on hard mode with the scenario Today is Not the Day. So that's what I'm doing. I've chosen for my starting tech to be arc ships because I've already played Nervo once on this channel and I started with robotics, so I just wanted to show something different, so I'll have arc ships this time. And I really like Nervo for this particular scenario. So high level, what I'm going to try and do is build up this home sector using arc ships, so I'll be able to get 6 pure population with at least 3 guilds fairly easily there, which will help with safe havens. And then this Genesis sector is right here, so I'd also like to build this one up fairly quickly and get 6 pop and 3 pure guilds in that sector too. And then I'll either sort of just camp out in these 3 sectors, or I may even abandon this outpost at some point. I'd rather, these are going to be the important 2. And if anything, if I'm going to expand outward much, it's going to be to go here and then to the Fallen House sector. I don't anticipate getting any further to the right than that. I don't plan on going to the rifts. So I'm going to have to, score some major points, leaving 2 rifts open if that's the way this really does play out. But I should have no trouble completing the safe havens. So when I drew the technologies for this playthrough, I drew Belatan, Cortazar, Fenrax, and Xenor, which is an interesting draw. And I plan on pushing my tracks a lot, as I usually do, playing Nervo. So cloning from House Xenor is really helpful. Central Surveillance is also really helpful from House Fenrax because that allows me to have another agenda card in play, which is huge for scoring. And improved cloning and improved Central Surveillance are really what I need, and neither of those are available in Cycle 2. So those are both things I'd like to pick up in Cycle 3. And then drawing Cortazar and Belatan together is always interesting because it can allow you to combo torpedoes and targeting. So I think that might be something that I'd like to do. So that's kind of where my head's at going into this, but who knows? It can all change on a dime. The 3 heroic focus cards for Cycle 1 are Reinforcement, Development, and Politics. And then, of course, playing as House Nervo, I have a special production card, and then I have Uplift, which replaces Conquest. My 2 level 0 crises. On the military track, I need to have 3 pure sectors and 8 or more pure deployed fleet power. And then for the economic track, I have 2 or more pure sectors with 4 or more population. So frequently I'm unhappy drawing those, but I think they'll be pretty good with Nervo going pretty tall. I think that should work out. And then I've already done all my setup here, but I do need to draw a wealth agenda. And when it is on your setup card, your origin card, you just draw the top one blindly. So this area here's my hand. This is where I have the improved arc ships, and then I've got the redemption directive here, which is a nice one. If I have 2 or more reclaim tokens, I get 4 influence, and then I can score my glory. So that's nice to have. So we're going to slot this starting agenda. And this one says, for each resource type that I have 8 or more of in my stockpile, I gain 3 influence. And then I gain 5 influence for each pure sector with 3 or more different guilds. So again, that should play into my strategy pretty well. And then finally, as usual, I'm using some components that my friends and I sell on our co-owned Etsy store. So you'll notice a lot of the tokens, bounty tokens, reclaim tokens, guilds, installations, and then obviously the fleet tokens. Oh, and the glory tokens too. Those are all from the Etsy store. So you can find a link in the description if you're interested in those. And we've got a lot of other components as well that help us set up. Oh, the agenda tray and the tech tray. I don't want to forget those too. So those are available if that's something you'd like. And I pointed out mostly for the bounty and reclaim tokens because these are all blank on the back. So the setup is pretty quick. And then when I earn one of these, I just draw from a bag. So I'm sure you will see that at some point. But that's all the setup. So let's get started by revealing the Cycle 1 Galactic event. Be good, be good, be good. What do we have? We are the Resistance. 4 turns in Cycle 1, okay? And to start off with, I need to add a Voidborn Fleet Power and a #1 Glory token to one adjacent Voidborn sector. So I'm going to do this one here. I don't want to make this one more powerful than these two Voidborn. So I'll put that there, and then I need to get a #1 Glory token, and those are stored in this handy tray, so they're all separated by number. So let's grab a 1, and that goes there like that. And then I'm given a choice. I can either activate a Fleet Power, increase a pure population, or build a bankers guild. And I think I'm going to increase a pure population. That's probably in line with what I want to do. And I'm going to do the home sector because I plan to build it up. So that goes from 3 to 4. Now the level on my miners guild goes up, so that goes from 5 to 6. And then there's 4 turns in this cycle, and at the end of those 4 turns, if I have 10 or more pure population, I can build a guild and an installation. That's pretty nice. Otherwise, if I have 3 pure bankers guilds, I can increase a civilization track. And I don't expect I'll be aiming for the bottom part. So I'm going to try and get my population up. But 10's kind of a tall order, starting with 6 pure. I mean, that's a good place to start. 7, 8, 9. I mean, even if I take over this Genesis sector and raise the pop, I'll still be 1 low. So I don't know. We'll see. 4 turns is not a lot. We'll see what I can do. And before I forget, let's also draw the alert card here. Oh, and we're starting with war. Okay, that's how this is going to be. So at the end of this turn, I've got to resolve the crisis board. So it's going to be a skirmish at 1 and 1 is 2. And then if I successfully defend, I need to add a Voidborn Fleet Power to an adjacent sector. So that's something. But I've kind of already made my plan for the cycle, so let's stick to it. I'm going to start with progress. And first I'll take this top action experiment and use it to build a scientist guild here in my home sector. So now my science level goes up by 4, and it was at 0. So now the level's at 4, yield is at 3. And then I will spend 2 science. So I go from 3 down to 1 to take the middle action, invent, and gain a tech. So I intend to be pretty tech heavy. And I'm going to go with torpedoes. So this one does get me 4 influence. I go from 10 to 14. And I gain 2 materials. So let's do that here. I go from 3 to 5. And also I can deploy 1 Corvette to my home sector. So let's do that as well. And now slot this tech. Okay, so that is it for my 2 actions on progress. So now we need to resolve this war card. Starting with this military track, so we're going to skirmish at 1 + 1 is 2. And my home sector cannot be invaded, so the skirmish is going to happen there. 2 Voidborn fleet come out. The initiative is 2 to 2. So they fire and I fire. I lose 1 fleet power. But because I have torpedoes, the Voidborn lose 2 fleet power and I win the skirmish. And per the war card, I now need to add 1 Voidborn fleet power to an adjacent sector. So that's that one there. So I went from 1 Voidborn fleet power to 3 very quickly. So that's a pretty nasty sector for having only 2 population. And now I need to resolve the economic track. So I need to pay 1 material and 1 energy. So let's do that here. 1 material, I'm down to 4. 1 energy, I'm down to 2. And that war card is resolved. So let's take that away. And then we're going into the second turn. So I'm going to draw a new alert card. And we have a level 1 crisis. And that is going to be a general crisis. Reactive forces. After you deploy a fleet power, choose to also add 1 sector defense on 1 adjacent Voidborn sector. Otherwise, the immediate penalty is to consume a basic tech. And there are some basic techs I don't plan on going after, so I might go that route. I don't really plan on deploying, I don't think. And I don't really plan to deploy for the rest of the cycle, so I don't know if I really want to make that ongoing, but we'll see. But the next focus card I'm going to play is my special conquest card, which is called Uplift. So I guess not really, it replaces my conquest card. And I'm going to start with the top action, which is to bombard. So I need to pay 2 energy, so that goes down to 0. And now I can invade, and I can spend as many times as I want. I can spend 3 materials to gain either an approach absorption or a salvo absorption. And I think I would like to do that. I'm going to spend 3 materials, so I go from 4 down to 1, and I'm going to gain 1 salvo absorption for this invasion. And so I'm taking these 2 fleet power from my home sector and invading here. So the initiative is 2 to 2, so we fire at the same time, but I have a salvo absorption, and I also have torpedoes, so I fire twice in the first salvo and defeat the Voidborn. So that was a pretty good second turn, I'd say, and I suppose there's still plenty of second turn left. But let's grab this glory token, and now I score 3 glory. So I go from 14 to 17. And there's a reclaim token here, a harbinger that I got to do something with, probably here, even though I don't love it. And I can move this corruption to somewhere else. I think for now I'm going to put it in this outpost sector. That's where it's going to do the least damage. I don't intend on building that up anymore until I've really built these up. So now there's a reclaim token. So again, that's a blank. So I draw from this draw bag one of the original cardboard tokens. There we go. So this one's pretty neat. This allows me to build a sector defense in this sector and gain 2 influence. So let's gain the influence. So that gets me up to 19. And let's get a sector defense. Here we go. That is definitely something I would have wanted to put there anyway. Nice. So that was this bombard action, and now I have one more action I can take, and it's going to be the middle one, analyze. I'm going to spend 1 credit to gain an agenda. So I go from 3 credits down to 2, and I'm going to gain another wealth agenda. And this one's not bad. I might want it later, but in the meantime, I'm going to draw 2 and pick 1. So I have self-sustaining campaign. If I have 3 or more glory tokens, I get 4 influence, and then 4 influence for every 3 credits in my stockpile. And the other one, augmented armada. If I have 2 or more pure fleet power that are not the same, that is across all my sectors, then I get 4 influence, and then 2 influence for each reclaim token I have. Neither of these appeals to me, so I'm going to grab this first one, but I don't think either of these is going to line up particularly well with what I'm doing, and that's okay because I now have 2 wealth agendas in hand, so I'm only going to slot 1 at most. So that was my 2 actions for this turn, and now I need to decide what to do with this. Do I consume a basic tech or do I make it ongoing? Because at some point I'm sure I will deploy again, just not this cycle. I think it's a little painful, but I will make it ongoing on this economic track. I don't really love that, but I think it's my best option. So let's draw the alert card for my 3rd turn, and it is a number 2 alert. And so the number 2 crisis is a is a military crisis. It's called No Mercy. It says invade with 5 or more fleet power. I'm here to tell you that's just not going to happen. So the immediate penalty is I can corrupt one of my civilization tracks, which I don't really want to do, but almost certainly that's what I'm going to end up doing. But I'm going to be playing my special production card next, and I'm going to start with the top action. So I get to advance my economic track, so I gain 2 credits for that. I go from 2 to 4, and then I can produce materials. I am also pairing it with this agenda card, so that's really important. So maybe I should take the agenda action before this action. Let me just back this up to make sure it's all right. Give the 2 credits back. Before I do that, I will start with this. Actually, I will start with the bottom action. I'm going to spend a material, so I'm down to 0, and then advance my society track. So this goes up. And now I can increase a pure population. I'm going to do that at home. So I'm going to go from 4 to 5, and that makes my material level go up 1, and my science level go up 1. And then I'll take the agenda action so I can build a guild and then produce that resource type. So I'm going to build a miners guild here in the Genesis sector, which then allows me to increase this population to 3. So my mining materials production goes up 3. So from 7 to 10, and then I produce materials. So I go from 0 materials to my yield is 8. There's a lot of materials. That's nice. And now I will take this top action. So now I advance my economic track and gain those 2 credits. So again, 2 to 4, and then produce materials. So I'm at 8. I produce another 8. So I've already overproduced materials. I'm at 15, and I gain 3 influence. 1, 2, 3. So I am at 22 influence now, and then I don't really care about this agenda. I'm going to put it on the bottom of the stack. I'm not slotting it because I'm going to slot this one in a minute. And what to do about this? I guess I'm going to take the corruption because it's not worth a catastrophe to me. So I'm going to put that there on my politics track, or statecraft, sorry. So this is resolved, and I can get rid of this alert card and draw 1 more alert card for cycle 1. And we have a level 2 alert. So let's draw the crisis card. And this one is A general crisis, forward planning, gain an agenda while already having one or more agendas in hand. The immediate penalty is to remove 2 non-home sector defenses. I've already done this once this game. I'm sure I'll do it again. So this will definitely be one that I make ongoing, but it's going to be a really crowded track here soon. But I should be able to clean it up a little. So for my 4th card, I'm playing development in order to take, no, not that one, heroic development. There we go. And I will pair it with this agenda card. Man, I really wish I had a trade token, but I wasn't able to get one. So I'm going to start with this top action. I'm going to spend 2 resources, 2 materials rather. I don't have a choice. So I go from 15 down to 13, and I can build a guild and then increase the population in that sector so long as it's pure. So I'm going to put a farmer's guild here, which I can do because I have arc ships, so I can have 2 additional guilds in my home sector. And then this population goes up to 6 because that is the second half of the action. So now my food level goes up by 6, so it goes from 2 to 8. My materials level goes up 1, so from 10 to 11. Science level goes up 1 from 5 to 6. And I've already got a pure sector with 3 guilds and 6 populations. So over the next 3 cycles, that'll take care of this safe haven by itself. And I made sure it was 3 different guilds for this scoring agenda right here. And now I'll take this action. I'm going to spend 1 science, so I go from 1 to 0. And now I can remove a corruption from a sector and build an installation in that sector. So this is my corrupted sector here. I will remove the corruption, and I was going to build this sector defense, but now looking at it, I don't think there's anything I can do, because this is the last turn of the cycle. When we go to resolve the crisis board up here, I am pretty confident I am going to lose that sector no matter what, which is fine. I said at the outset that I might, and these were the ones I wanted to protect. So I might save myself the science and not actually take that action and just plan to lose the sector. Let's do that. We're going to sacrifice that sector. So let's take this installation back and re-corrupt it. Fine. And I get my 1 science back. All right. Instead, I guess I will take this middle action, spend 3 resources. Let's spend 3 materials. So I go from 13 down to 10. And now I can build a guild and gain 4 resources. And I'm going to gain or build an engineer's guild. So that goes up by 3. So my level is now 3. And I can gain 4 resources. And I think I'm going to gain 4 science, go up to 5. All right, and now I can still take this agenda action. Oh, but before I do, because I did this, this goes up to 4 now, doesn't it? Which means both of those levels go up 1. So materials goes up to 12, energy goes up to 4. Okay, now I can take this action. And of course, I'm going to build a farmer's guild here, which makes this level go up again. So materials goes up to the max level, 13. Energy goes up to level 5, and food now goes up 5 levels from 8 to 13. Oh, that's the max there too. Great. And then I produce food. So I have 5, I produce 15, so this just goes to 15, and I overproduce. That's 3 more influence. So I'm up to 25 now, and I'm real close to having 2 pure Pop 6 sectors with 3 guilds. So safe havens, like I don't even have to think about it anymore. That's basically done. So now I'm going to slot this agenda, and if we take a look here, I now have 2 pure sectors with 4 or more populations. So this level 0 crisis has been solved. And then this one I will make ongoing because I'm like pretty confident I'm not going to have any trouble taking care of that. So that one's ongoing. We can get rid of this alert card, and now I can get rid of this heroic card, and that should be all 4 turns this cycle. Yes, progress, uplift, production, and then heroic development. 4 turns this cycle. So now we go into the cycle 1 evaluation phase, starting with resolving the crisis board. So I need to skirmish, and I've got 1, 2 corruption on my player board, plus a 3rd here. So the Voidborn are going to skirmish at 3. So if they came in here with 3, they would lose 1 on the way in. It would be 2 to 2 initiative-wise. They would fire, I would lose 1. I would fire with torpedoes, and they would be destroyed. So I would win combat with 1 fleet power left. If they come in here with 3, they'll have the initiative, fire first, and win. So that's where they're going to go. So I'm going to lose this sector. We'll flip that over because it's abandoned. Remove the guilds. Then I've got to lower my food production and my materials production because those were the guilds I lost. So for both of those, I should have 11. And these are both at 13. That makes sense. So we'll go down to 11. 11, okay. Voidborn gain 2 fleet power in that sector. And then we add to the sector a bounty token. And silly me, I did have to decrease my production, but the guilds stay. The installations would go away, but there were no installations, so put the guilds back. And then I lose 1 glory token of my choice. It's going to be the 1 glory. And now this top military track is resolved, so now I need to do the bottom track. I have to pay 2 materials, 2 energy, and 1 science. So I've got 2 materials. Here's 1 science. I don't have any energy. What step is this? This is step C1. So I could use materials in place of energy, and I will do that. I will go from 8 down to 6. Because House Nervo's ability is you can use materials in place of food or energy as long as it's not for upkeep, which this is not. So now that the crisis board is resolved, now it's time for upkeep. And I have 2, 4 down here from my agenda cards, plus a 5th and a 6th. And luckily, I've got 15 food, so this just goes down to 9. No big deal. So now we check for pure sectors with 6 population and 3 or more guilds. And I have 1 of those, so I can build 1 level of safe haven. Might as well make it this one, just to get me a little bit closer to one of the rewards. And now we check the Galactic event, and I know I don't have 3 or more pure bankers guilds because I have none of them, but I actually do have 11 pure population. So now I can build a guild and an installation. And so the installation will be a sector defense here in my Genesis sector. And the guild will be another scientist guild here in my home sector. So I now raise that level from 6 to 12. So I'd be producing 12 science when I produce science. So that's pretty great. And now I can score my pure agendas. So I've got 2 of those. My starting agenda says any resource where I have 8 or more in my stockpile, I get 3 influence. So let's check my stockpiles. I've got 9 food, no energy, only 6 materials. Only 3 credits, and then only 4 science. So just 1. I guess I could have had 6, 7. I could have had materials if I'd spent credits here instead. But that's fine. I'll stick with what I have. Just 3 influence there. So I go up to 28. And then each pure sector with 3 or more different guilds gets me 5 influence. And I have 2 of those. I've got at least 3 different guilds here and 3 different guilds here. And they're both pure, so 10 influence. I go from 28 to 38. That's pretty nice. And then this one scores if I have 2 or more reclaim tokens. I've only got 1, and then I score my glory, which is just going to be 2 right now. So I go up to 40 influence, which is kind of like the minimum I aim for after cycle 1. So that's okay. Off to a pretty good start based off of the strategy I laid out. I'm feeling pretty good about my sectors. That's okay that I lost that one. I said in the intro that I might, and I've always got the opportunity to reclaim it, but I'd probably rather go this way if I'm going to do anything to get that fallen house sector. But in the meantime, for cycle 2, I think I'm going to try and focus a little bit more on pushing the tracks. It'll depend on what the Galactic event is, and I would like to get some more techs. I don't think I'm going for any of the improved techs that are on the Galactic board right now, but I'd like to improve my arc ships, and I would certainly like to get targeting, and I would like to get improved cloning and improved central surveillance in cycle 3, so I need to plan ahead a little bit to do that as well. So I'll go ahead and do all the cleanup stuff right now, and then I will be in the preparation phase of cycle 2, starting with the Galactic event. So stick around, here we go. All right, so I'm ready for cycle 2 now. I've refreshed the alert deck, added 2 war cards to the second cycle, which always scares me. I've got to place this Harbinger on the track somewhere. And then I removed a trade token. I removed the tech blocker off the Galactic board. I refreshed the heroic focus cards, which I got leadership, innovation, and temptation. So what a grouping. And I think I'm going to put this Harbinger on the military track. Because this one's getting pretty full, and I think I can survive with it for now. So let's see the Galactic event for cycle 2. And we're going to have 5 turns this cycle. This is Rally the Guilds. So corrupt a sector if able, otherwise take a corruption anywhere. So we'll have to place that here. We don't have any choice. So my Genesis sector is corrupted now, but at least it's already got all its guilds, so I won't miss out on its ability. And then add a sector defense and a reclaim token on 1 adjacent Voidborn sector. And so I could do this, or this sector. And I think I'll go here. I'll put a sector defense and a reclaim token here. I don't really intend on going that way, I don't think. And then players with 6 or more pure guilds gain a trade token. Remaining players gain a bounty token. I certainly had the guilds a minute ago, but now this is corrupted, so I guess I'm getting a bounty token. So we go to the draw bag for that. And we get, let's see, 2 food or 1 influence. It's a little early in the game for this, but I think I'm going to take the 1 influence. I just don't really need the food. I've got 9 right now, and I can easily produce it. I know the Voidborn have a really high starting score. They start at 140 on this difficulty, and then there's 2 rifts that I don't really plan on closing. So let's take the influence. And then for the end of the cycle, if I have all of my preferred focus cards, that'd be production and prosperity, in hand, I can advance any civ track. I really don't want to do that. I want to play those cards. So the other goal is if I have 1 or fewer total corruption, I gain 8 influence. So I guess that's the one to aim for. I mean, I obviously want to get rid of corruption. I don't know if I've got 3 now. I don't know if I'll end up that low. So I might get neither of those, but that's what's going on. So let's draw this first alert card. Let's see what I'm dealing with here. It is a level 2 crisis, and it is going to be a military crisis. After you regroup, have 5 or more fleet power adjacent to the same harbinger. I don't even have 5 fleet power on the map. So that's going to be tough. And then the immediate penalty is remove 2 non-home sector defenses, which I could do here, but whoopsie. But that puts that sector at great risk of being lost, and I'm not willing to lose that one. So I might try and find another way to handle that. So let me think now about what my plan is for this cycle. Okay, and I've taken a few minutes to think about this, and I think I've got my cycle mapped out. So let's see if I can keep this all in my head and make it make sense. I'm going to start by playing Uplift. And I'm going to start with the bottom action. I'm going to spend 1 science, so I go from 4 to 3. And now I can remove a corruption. And I think I'm going to remove this one here off of my civ track. And then I can produce credits, but I don't have any credit production. So that part's kind of wasted. And then I'll take the middle action. I spend a credit, so I go from 4 to 3. And I gain an agenda. And I'm going to take a support agenda, and I want this one that's face up right now. So that is the Salvation Project. If I have 0 corruption on my sectors, then I gain 7 influence, and then each peer sector with no empty guild slots, I get 4 influence. So I think that one makes sense. I am trying to take care of this crisis, this ongoing one. I want to gain an agenda while already having one in hand, so it was pretty important to get this. And I really don't want to pay this penalty. I don't want a catastrophe either. I'm not going to solve it, so I'm going to hopefully find another way to take care of that, and I'm going to make it ongoing. I really, really hate that being there, but that's what I'm going to do. So let's get rid of this level 2 alert card, and let's go into the second turn, drawing the next alert. It is another level 2, and this is a military one as well. Choose to recall a fleet power twice from your home sector, otherwise spend 3 food. Luckily, I've got plenty of food, so I think that's the route I'll go on that card. So next, I'm going to play Temptation in order to take Heroic Temptation. And I'm going to take the top 2 actions. And I'm going to start with this middle one. So I need to corrupt a track and advance it. And then I can advance any track. And I'll advance this one, which allows me to remove a corruption. I'll take this one right back off. So now I've pushed both my society and econ track. So that feels good. And I'm going to take this top action, spend any 4 resources. And those are going to be materials. So I'm going to go from 6 down to 2. To take 1 preferred action and gain 4 resources. So for my 4 resources, I'm going to gain 2 credits and 3 credits and 1 science. So I'm up to 6 credits and 4 science. And now I'm going to take a preferred action, and production is one of my preferred focus cards. So I'm going to take this top action, which has no cost. I advance my economic track. So that's now in tier 1. I've unlocked a improved technology, and I gain a trade token. Let's do this. And what do I want for my reward? Probably a bounty token. So we go to the draw bag. All right, and I can have either 2 food or 1 influence. And I think I'm going to go for the influence again. So I'm up to 42 now. And I can now produce materials. So I have 2, I produce 10. So now I'm up to 12. Didn't quite overproduce it, but I've got plenty. So that was my preferred action. Now I can discard this heroic temptation card, and I can slot this trade token here on this starting agenda, and then I will pay the immediate penalty on this crisis. So I go from 9 food down to 6, and that one is solved. So we can get rid of the alert card, and we're moving right along. Let's draw the next alert. It is another level 2 crisis, okay? And we have a general crisis. Take all 3 actions of a preferred focus, otherwise decrease the population in a pure non-home sector. That is interesting. I don't know what I'm going to do about that, but I will play innovation next. Is that right? Yeah, I'm playing that to take heroic innovation and flipping this trade token while I do it. And so now I can take all the actions, and I'm going to start, I'll just go in order. I'll start with the one on top. So I spend 4 resources. Let's spend 4 science. So I go down to 0 science to then gain a basic tech and produce credits in science. So credits are at 0 production, so that doesn't matter, but science I will produce 12. There we go. So I'm at 12 science now, and I can gain a basic tech, and I think I'm going to go for targeting, actually, because feeling kind of defenseless. So I gain 2 energy for that, so I'm up to 2 energy. I gain 4 influence, so I'm up to 46, and I can deploy a Corvette to my home sector. So let's do that to get a 3rd fleet power on the map, and now I'll take the middle action, which has no cost. I gain an improved tech, and I'm going to grab my starting tech, Arc Ships, which gives me 6 influence. So I go from 46 up to 52. And some of that's going to be wasted. That stinks. I can build a guild and improve a pure population. And I don't have a pure population to improve. Man, yeah, that does stink. Let's put another Engineers Guild here in my home sector because I can hold 6 now. So that goes up 6 levels from 5 to 11. Okay. And now when I play Reinforcement, I can improve a pure population. Oh, but specifically in my home sector, I guess I didn't really realize that. So that won't help me at all since I improved that one up to 6 already. Man, bummer. Okay, so let's slot this. I got my improved tech. And I can remove a Voidborn fleet power from an adjacent sector. So let's take one of these, I guess. That's probably where I'd want to go. Although, maybe I'd rather go this way. Let's try that. And now for the 3rd action, I can spend 2 resources. Let's spend 2 materials. So I go from 12 to 10 and gain an agenda and remove a crisis card. And for the agenda, I'm going to go for another wealth agenda. I don't really like the one I have. So we have Quantum Leap, 2 or more improved techs gets you 4 influence, and every pair of bounty tokens gets you 3. Or Technological Singularity, 4 or more techs gets you 4 influence, and each pair of pure sectors gets you 5. I'd probably be better off with Technological Singularity. Put Quantum Leap on the bottom here. And now I have just acquired an agenda card while already having one in hand, so this crisis card is solved. Oh, before I forget, I just deployed this fleet power a moment ago when I got targeting, and I can add a sector defense to one adjacent Voidborn sector, and that will solve that crisis. So let's put that here. And now this one goes away too. And then I can remove 1 crisis card, and that's going to be this one. I've got no way to get rid of that. So there we go. Wasn't the craziest turn ever, but I got rid of 3 crisis cards, so that was important. So this was spent. That goes back to the Galactic board. This I will make ongoing because I think I can take all 3 preferred focus actions. We can discard Heroic Innovation, and we can discard this level 2 alert card. Now we're going into the 4th turn of the cycle. Draw the next alert. It is a level 3 alert. So get our level 3 crisis card. It is a general crisis. Improve your statecraft track or advance your statecraft track while already having 5 active fleet powers. That's the section. Otherwise, remove 2 non-home guilds. That's interesting. I don't know that I would hate getting rid of 2 non-home guilds because I can get them out of this sector, and then if I remove the corruption, add new guilds, which is super easy for me to get that population up to 6. So I wonder if I can do that over the course of 2 turns. Yeah, so I'm going to change course here. I'm going to play Progress just to take heroic leadership, and I'm going to pair that with this whatever agenda this is, the support agenda here. And I'll take the agenda action first. I'm going to activate a fleet power and build an installation. And I would like another sector defense here, please. Let's get nice and defended. And then I will take this middle action. I've got to discard a glory token, so now I am fresh out of those. But I can remove a corruption. So let's purify this sector and take an action off a preferred focus. And let's take an action off of production, and it's going to be this bottom one. So I need to spend 1 material. I go from 10 down to 9, and I can advance my society track, which goes up and then goes up again. And now I can increase a pure population. So this one goes from 5 to 6, and I can remove a corruption. So this one goes away. And so now with these guilds here, these all go up. Food goes up 1, energy goes up 1, materials goes up 1. So they're now all at level 12. Now I can take this card back, and I can take 1 more action off of heroic leadership. And I think I will spend 1 resource. I'm going to spend 1 science, so I'm down to 11 to remove either a corruption or a crisis. I'm sorry, a harbinger or a crisis. And I'm going to get rid of probably this harbinger over here. Like, I really don't expect to go that way. I got to deny the Voidborn some points or I'm in trouble. So let's slot this agenda and get rid of the heroic leadership card. And then we take a look at this crisis card, and I will remove this guild and this guild to pay for it. They're non-home guilds, so that's fine. And so my food level goes back down to 6, as does my energy level. From 12, they go down to 6 each. Yes. Okay. So I'll take these away. And now that crisis is solved, and I can remove the alert card. And let's draw the last alert for the cycle. It is a 1. I think that's the last of those. This says remove a corruption from a civilization track or move a corruption from a civilization track. Otherwise, take a corruption. That's too bad because I just did that. So I suppose I'll probably be taking a corruption, but I get to play 1 more focus card. And this one's a little bit of a waste now, but I'm going to play development and pair it with this agenda. So I'm going to start with the top action. I'm going to spend 1 material, so I go from 9 to 8 to build a guild. And let's put another Engineers Guild right there. So this goes back up to 12 now. And I'll take this agenda action to build a Farmers Guild and then produce food. So this goes back up to 12. And I produce food. I have 6. I produce 12. So that's going to be an overproduction. I'm at 15. Get 3 influence. So I'm up to 55 influence. And sadly, I can't take either of these actions. I mean, I could, I guess in theory, remove this fleet power, recall it in order to build a 6th guild in that sector, but I really don't need it. And then spend a science to either increase a pure population, and all of mine are at 6, or remove a corruption, which I don't have any, but I'm about to, I think. So that stinks. So I'm just not going to take another action. So I will slot this agenda in place of this wealth agenda. So this one goes back on the bottom. Not doing as well as I would like with agendas right now. I just haven't been playing to their strengths as much as I would like to. So I'm going to have a pretty good 3rd cycle. But I believe that's all the actions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that's 5 turns in this cycle. I need to figure out what to do about this. And I suppose I'll just take the corruption. And this would probably be the place to put it for the moment. So this goes away, and this goes away. And now we go to the evaluation phase. So we start by resolving the military track, and we've got 1, 2, 3, plus 1 because we're in cycle 2, so 4 Voidborn are going to skirmish me, and the only valid target is here. So 4 come in, 3 of them get lost to the sector defense, and then I have initiative, both just because it's going to be 2 to 1, but also because I have targeting, which gives me another 5. So the initiative is 7 to 1, and I fire twice, so I win that one without too much trouble. And now the economic track, I need to pay 1 material, 1 energy, and 1 science, and that shouldn't be a problem. I've got 8 material and 2, and let's pay 1 energy. I'm not going to pay any material. I'm going to pay a credit instead, and then 1 science. All right, now we go to upkeep, and I've got 2, 4, 6 from agendas, 7, 8, 9, and I have 15 food, so that's okay. So I go down to 6. All right, and now we check safe havens, and I have 2 pure sectors with 6 population and at least 3 guilds, so I can build 2 levels of safe haven. So 1 right there, and the other one right there. And what reward do I want to get for that? I almost want to deploy 2 fleet power. Would be pretty cool. And removing corruption's never bad, but it feels like I've got to do the Harbinger just for the point swing. I mean, you know what? I'm going to deploy. I'm going to deploy 2 fleet power, and I'll send them both to my home sector here. I think that'll be more valuable in the 3rd cycle. So now we check the Galactic event, and I did manage to keep my preferred focus cards in hand. I just took lots of preferred actions using other cards. So I do have 1 or fewer corruption, so I could gain the 8 influence, or I could advance a Civ track. And I think I'm going to advance this track. That's what I want to do. So I've unlocked another improved tech, and I can gain a tech. And let's grab cloning. I think. Well, maybe not. And I'll grab central surveillance. I'm just not a great spot to use these immediate bonuses, but I gain 4 influence for that one, so I go from 55 to 59, and then I can improve 1 glory token, but I don't have any, so that slots there. But I really want the improved central surveillance in the next cycle, so that's what I'm going for. So that was this. Now I score my agendas. And so my starting agenda, 3 influence for every stockpile with 8 or more resources. And I've got 6, 1, 8, 5, 10. So these 2. So that's going to be 6 influence. It gets me up to 65. Okay. And then 5 influence for each peer sector with 3 or more different guilds. And I've got 2 of those. That's another 10 influence. I'm up to 75. If I have 4 techs, I get 4 influence. So that gets me to 79. For every pair of peer sectors, I get 5 influence. So I've got 1 pair. That gets me to 84. And if I have 0 corrupted sectors, which is the case, I get 7. So that gets me to 91. And finally, for each peer sector with no empty guild slots, 4 influence. And I've got 2 of those. So that's another 8. So I am at 99 influence, which is a bit low from where I'd normally like to be at this point. That's not a great feeling because I'm playing on hard. I'm going to need extra points. But that's it for the evaluation phase for cycle 2. So I'm going to do the preparation phase for cycle 3 by refreshing the heroic cards and refreshing the alert deck, removing a trade token, refreshing the improved text on the offer, and then drawing the cycle 3 event card. So give me just a second to get that done, and I'll see you there. All right, so I am ready for the 3rd cycle now. The 3 heroic focus cards are Conquest, Progress, and Production. And I don't have Conquest, so I won't be able to play that. And my special production card is pretty awesome. I don't think I'd want to discard it to use the heroic one. So Progress is the only one I'm really having any expectation of maybe using. And the improved techs for this cycle are targeting, cloning, central surveillance, and torpedoes. And I've got 3 of those basic techs and want the 4th. So there's a lot going on with techs right now. I think I might like to try and invade this way and get that fallen house sector and get cloning that way, and then basic cloning, and then get improved cloning and push these tracks a little bit more. And certainly I want improved central surveillance so that I can get an extra agenda in play. So beyond that, that's sort of my goals. I will, as long as I hold these 2 sectors and I keep them pure, then I will finish that last safe haven. That won't be a problem. So let's check out this cycle 3 Galactic event. It's going to be 6 turns this cycle. This is a Beacon of Hope. So first we need to add a Bankers Guild and a Voidborn Fleet Power and a Sector Defense to 1 adjacent Voidborn sector. And so I'm going to do that up here, which is mostly going to make it impossible for me to ever take that sector, which is fine. But it's also a little more appealing now because it has 3 guilds. And if I can purify it, I would score 5 influence for it at the end of this cycle. But I think I'd rather put it there because I'm trying to maybe push through this way. Although I guess, you know what, alternatively, I could do this sector. That's also an option. Maybe let's go there because I really don't think I have any desire to go that way. And there's maybe some appeal to coming here. So, okay, we've done that part. Then next part is corrupt my house mat if able, otherwise add a corruption anywhere. And I definitely have room on my house mat, so I guess I'll go, I don't know, here. And then lastly, I can recall a fleet power to remove a corruption from the same or an adjacent sector, and any player who does so gains 6 influence. I would happily do that, but I don't have any corruption on the map to remove. I can't remove it from a Voidborn sector, so I'm just going to skip that part. And then at the end of this cycle, for each sector I have that's pure with 1 or more banker's guilds, I get 5 influence. Otherwise, I just score my pure population. That is what I'm going to go for. So that's 12 influence right now. Let's see how high I can get that. And I've got 6 turns to get there, so let me do a minute of planning. All right, and let's draw the next alert card too. Man, I think there's 3 war cards in there, so good chance we're going to see some of those. But I drew a level 2 alert, and so the level 2 crisis is an economic crisis. Before you advance your society track, choose to also spend 2 science or 2 credits, otherwise spend 4 energy. I think that one won't be much of a problem. So I'm going to start out by playing politics. And I'm going to start with the middle action prevail. So I need to spend a credit and then an energy, and I need another energy, but I'm out. So I'm going to spend another credit. So I'm down to 3 credits. No, I take that back. I spent a credit and an energy, and then I will use a materials instead of an energy because Nervo can do that. And now I can take an invade action, and I'm going to move all 3 of these corvettes to here. And so I've got more initiative, even without targeting, but I've got more initiative, and I have torpedoes, so I fire twice and win the combat immediately. And that gains me these 2 glory tokens, a 1 and a 1. So I go from 99 to 101 influence. It's something. And now I can improve a glory token. So let's turn a 1 into a 2. There we go. And those are separate actions, so I did have to do them in that order. And now I'm going to spend a credit to take this action on the bottom. So 4 credits down to 3, and I gain a trade token, so I'll take one of those. And what do I want? I think I will take, I suppose, 2 credits. So I go from 3 to 5, and I can move a corruption. So I'm going to move this corruption out of this sector, and I guess onto this agenda slot where I don't really want it, but that was that action there. And now, because I've played politics focus and I have central surveillance, I can decrease a non-home pure population, which I will. This will go from 2 to 1 now, to gain an agenda and to improve a glory token. So let's make this one go from 2 to 3. Okay, and gain an agenda. And I'm going to get a dominance agenda, and I'm going to draw the top 2. So there is Commercial Syndicate and Enlightened Nation. Commercial Syndicate is if I have 4 or more pure sectors with 3 population or higher, I get 5 influence, and then 4 influence multiplied by my economic tracks tier, so long as it's pure. And Enlightened Nation says if I have a pure civilization track at tier 3 or higher, I gain 4 influence. And then for each pure sector with 3 or more population, I gain 3 influence. I think this one's going to be better for me. So let's put this one on the bottom. This one that's face up wasn't bad, but I know there's some stuff in there that'd be really good for me. So I just kind of wanted to see what was on top. So that was my politics focus. I'm going to slot my trade token here. And what do I want to do about this crisis? I think I will make it ongoing because I am pretty confident in getting that one done. So we'll get rid of this alert card and let's draw the next alert now. And it's another level 2. Okay, surprised I haven't seen war yet. This one's a general crisis. After you gain a trade token, which of course I just did, choose to also corrupt the agenda offer. Otherwise, remove a non-home installation and a non-home guild. Gaining another trade token is not really on my bingo card right now. So that's a bummer. And in fact, between the cards left in my hand and the heroic cards, I don't have any focus cards that would let me do it. So I'd have to gain a might agenda in order to gain a trade token. And you know what? Gaining a might agenda is on my bingo card. So maybe I will be able to pull that one off. So you know what? With that being the case, I'm going to play Uplift next. And I'm going to play a trade token with it. Since I'm going to get another trade token later, that should be fine. And let's start with the middle action. I'm going to spend 1 credit, so I go from 5 to 4 to gain an agenda. And I guess it better be a might agenda, huh? And this one on top is looking pretty decent. I'm going to take that and flip this over. Let's see what we got there. Yeah, I think that was a good choice. So if I have 8 or more science in my stockpile at the end of the cycle, I'll gain 7 influence and then 6 influence for each peer sector with 3 or more installations. So I've already got that handled. I'm sure I'll have that. So that's worth 13 influence to me already. And maybe I try and build installations in one more sector and get it built up. So we'll see. But now I think I will take the bottom action. I will spend a science. I go from 10 to 9 to remove a corruption and produce credits. And I have no credits to produce, but I'm happy to get rid of this corruption here. And finally, I will take the top action, bombard. I need to spend 2 energy. I'm going to spend 2 credits, so I go down to 2. And then I'm going to spend 6 materials. So I go from 7 down to 1. And I'm gaining 2 approach absorb for that. And now I'm going to invade this sector here. So I've abandoned this one, so I need to corrupt it and add a bounty token and 2 Voidborn fleet power. And I have to discard a glory token, so it's going to be this number 1. But I invaded this fallen house sector with 2 approach absorb, so I don't lose any fleet power. And now I've won this combat. So I take this card, let's take this glory token, so I score 4 glory now, from 101 to 105. And what else? I can spend a science to improve my lowest track. Oof, you know what, that's fine, but I am going to go back for a second. This corruption I removed, I'm going to remove it from there instead of from here. I could have figured that out with a little more paying attention, so that's what it is. I'm spending a science to go from 9 down to 8, and I can improve my lowest track, so that's this one here. That goes up. Now I can build a installation and, activate a fleet power. So let's activate and build an installation. So I guess we're going to build a sector defense here. That's really the only thing that makes sense, which means I'm probably trying to hold on to that sector now. And now I can flip this over and gain one of House Xenor's techs, and I'm going to grab cloning, finally, so I get 4 influence for that. So I'm up to 109, and I gain either a credit or activate a fleet power. And I think I'll be gaining the credit, please, up to 3. And so now when I increase a pure population, I gain a credit or activate a fleet power. Great. And that was all of my actions for this turn. So let's return this trade token to the Galactic board here. And I'm going to make this ongoing, I suppose. And I'm really going to be pushing my luck a little bit. I'm going to put it on this top track, which frankly scares me. But we'll get rid of this alert card. And now draw the next one. And there's a war card. All right, so at the end of this turn, I must resolve the crisis board. And the Voidborn have +1 approach absorption. And if I successfully defend, I have to add a sector defense to an adjacent Voidborn sector. So that's something. Let's go ahead and play this turn, though. And I think I've decided I'm going to play Innovation, and I'm pairing it with this Dominance agenda here. And I'm going to start with the agenda action. So I'm going to invade, and I'm going to invade this sector here, using all 3 of these fleet power coming in. So I have just abandoned another sector yet again. So I'm removing this installation, and I have to get rid of this token, or just any one glory token, and put 2 Voidborn fleet power there and a bounty token, and the sector's already corrupted. That's fine. If I manage to win this game, it'll be a demonstration of strategic abandonment. But if I lose, I'm just gonna look kind of foolish. So, all right, so I'm invading here. I lose 1 on the way into the sector defense. And now the initiative is 7-2 because I have targeting and I fire first, and I have torpedoes, so I fire twice. So the combat is over. I win. So this gets removed, and I get 4 glory plus the 3 glory token I have. So that's 7 glory. It gets me up to 116. And what else? The Harbinger's got to come off. There's no way in the world I'm putting that on the military track. So here we go. That's pretty full, I would say. And now I get 2 reclaim tokens. So let's see what these get me. And hopefully I can build up this sector right now and hold this sector. And if it doesn't look like something that I want to hold based off these reclaim tokens, I might get another dominance agenda and try and invade that rift by the end of the game. So those are my options. Let's see. Here's 1 and 2. And I can add a guild and another guild. And specifically an engineer's guild and a banker's guild. I would have preferred sector defenses, at least one, but I will take these. All right, so now I'm maxed out on the energy production, and Banker's Guild goes up by 4. So my yield is 2. And I can get rid of these blanks and set these over here. Okay, so that was the invade action. Now I can gain a tech and an agenda. I'm not taking the top action. So I'll start by gaining a tech. I'm going to spend 2 science, so I go down to 6. And I'm going to take improved cloning. So that'll go here. I can have 1, 2, 3 improved techs, and that's my second. So I gain 6 influence. That gets me up to 122. And I could advance my lowest track and then advance my lowest track again. So that's going to be statecraft. So I advance it once, and now I can build a guild. And for this agenda scoring here, I'm going to want to build one that's different than the other 2 there. For every 3 different guilds in a pure sector, I can gain influence. So, another Miners Guild is never going to hurt House Nervo. Let's do that. And so production for materials is now maxed out. And that was the first advance my lowest track. Now I advance my lowest track again, and I can activate a fleet power and deploy a fleet power. And I will happily deploy right back to that sector. And now, if I advance my tracks into tier 3 and 4, I don't have to deactivate fleet power, which is fantastic. And now I'm going to gain an agenda. So I need to spend a food, go from 6 to 5. A material, I go from 1 to 0. And I don't have any energy. I'm going to spend a credit, go from 3 to 2. And I think I'll actually take a wealth agenda just to see if I can get one that scores better than what I've got. And so we've got intellectual supremacy and trade monopoly. And intellectual supremacy is probably the one that I need here. And we'll put this on the bottom of the stack. Okay, so I've taken all of my actions. I do want to slot this agenda, so that will go here. So I've now slotted a wealth, a support, and a dominance. And now it's this war card. And if I were to get skirmished right now, the fleet power would be 3, 4, 5. I would actually survive here. There is 1 approach absorption, so if they came in with 5, 1 would be absorbed. They'd take 2 more hits. They would have 3 initiative, but I would have 7 due to targeting. So I would fire first, then I'd fire with torpedoes. So the Voidborn fleet power would go from 3 to 1. They'd fire back, and I would have 1. And then it would be initiative 6 to 1, and I would win that combat. So that means instead the Voidborn would like to skirmish up here. So they would come in with 5 fleet power. I've got 3. My initiative would be 8. So I would fire first, take out 2 of their fleet power, and then they would fire once back, and I would lose a fleet power. And at that point, they would have 2 fleet power. Or I'm sorry, they would have 3, and I would have 2. And we would just go back and forth with me firing first, and then them returning fire. And they would eventually win with 1 fleet power remaining. And I just don't think I want that to happen. So I am going to take a catastrophe token to make this war card go away. Really don't love it, but I think my scoring prospects are better if I hold that sector and build it up now. So I've really just got to purify it and get some installations down. So let's draw the next alert card. And it is a level 3 crisis. Things are really piling up. Oh, military crisis. While resolving a reinforcement focus, deploy 3 fleet power in 3 different pure sectors. Otherwise, the immediate penalty is remove 2 non-home guilds and decrease a non-home pure population, or spend 6 materials, which I can probably do that. Ooh, no, actually I can't. I spent all my resources. So that could be a huge problem because I have out of room on this crisis board. Well, I'll see if I can find another way around it. So I'm going to play progress, and I'm taking heroic progress this time. There we go. And I'm pairing it with this agenda. And I'm going to start with the agenda action. I'm going to take a trade token right there. And this agenda says after you take a trade token, corrupt an agenda offer. So I will do that. I'll corrupt this offer here. And now that crisis is solved, and my reward for that trade token, my trade bonus, is going to be 2 science. So I'm going to go from 6 back up to 8 science. And now I'm going to take this middle action. I'm going to spend 1 food. I go from 5 down to 4, and deactivate 1 fleet power to gain a tech and remove a corruption. And for my tech, I'm going to take Central Surveillance. Improved Central Surveillance, that gets me 6 influence. So I go from 122 to 128. And I could spend 2 energy to gain an agenda card, but I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to slot this. And now I may have 1 additional agenda in play. And now I can also remove a corruption. So let's take 1 off my player mat here. And now I'll take this bottom action, spend a glory token. I feel like I'm really yo-yoing around with these glory tokens this time. And now I can deploy a fleet power. And I will do that up in this sector over here. And there we go, making a mess. Okay. I can regroup, but I don't have any need for that. And I can remove an economic or general crisis. I wish I could remove a military crisis because I'd get rid of this one, but I will get rid of this general crisis here because I'm still not that close to having it resolved. So that one's gone, and I think I can feel pretty good about that. So heroic progress goes away, and I slot the trade token over here. I'm going to slot this agenda, it's a might agenda, over here now because I can have 1 additional agenda. And so I've got a wealth, a support, a dominance, and a might, 1 of each. This one here is in hand. And as for this crisis, I don't have 6 material. I have no material and only 2 credits. So I don't have a way to pay that penalty. I'm certainly not getting rid of guilds and lowering a population. At least I don't think so. You know what? Actually, I will do this. I will take that penalty. I'm going to remove this Bankers Guild and this Engineers Guild from that sector and lower this pure non-home population from 6 to 5. So let's figure this out. I should have 11 energy level now. All right, 11. I have no credit production. That goes back to 0. And these, let's see, material should be at 6 and 4 and 5. So that one's still maxed. Food should be at 11. Energy at 11. Okay, really messed with my guilds, but that's all square now. And so I can put these away, and I've solved this level 3 crisis card. Let's get rid of the level 3 alert, and I'm pretty sure that was 4 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, yes. So let's draw the next alert. And it's another war card. Oof. Resolve the crisis board, and during the skirmish, the Voidborn have +5 initiative, and if I successfully defend, add 2 Voidborn fleet power to an adjacent sector. So that's something to think about for a minute. So I am going to play development, and I'm pairing it with this agenda here. And I'll start with the bottom action. I'm going to spend 1 science, so I go down to 7. And I'm going to remove a corruption, and I'll take it from here off my house mat, and then I'll take this top action. I'm spending 1 material, so I've got to spend a credit, and that allows me to build a guild or an installation, and I've given up on 3 installations. I could have done it if I had taken a support agenda instead of a wealth agenda, but I didn't. So I'll go ahead and put a farmer's guild here. So that level goes up by 4. It's maxed out now. And then I'll take the agenda action to build a guild and then produce that resource type. And that's going to be a scientist guild. So that level goes up by 4. So it is maxed out. I produced 15 science and I already have 7. So that's an overproduction of science. I gain 3 influence. I go from 128 to 131. Okay, and that was my 1, 2, 3 actions. So I will slot this wealth agenda in place of this one. This goes on the bottom. And now I'm going to resolve this war card. So we start with a skirmish. The Voidborn have 1, and that's it, just 1. So they have 1 plus 5 initiative, so they're at 6. And so if they try and come in here, they're going to lose their 1 fleet power on the way in. So they're going to skirmish up here. They come in with 1. Their initiative is 6, but my initiative is 9 because I also have targeting, and then I fire first, and they've only got 1 fleet power, but I have torpedoes as well, so I fire twice. I win the skirmish, so I need to add 2 Voidborn fleet power to an adjacent sector, and the only adjacent Voidborn sector to the combat sector, oopsie, that can hold all that Voidborn fleet power is the Rift. So I am definitely not invading that Rift. And now I have to resolve the economic track. So I need to pay 2 science. It's fine. I go down to 13. 2 materials and 2 energy. Ooh, that's a problem. And I have no energy, no materials, and 1 credit. So I pay 1, and I'm going to lose 3 times 3 is 9 influence. That is really painful. So I go from 131 down to 122. Ooh, that's not good. But I would have lost more influence by, taking another catastrophe. So this war card's resolved. Need to draw 1 more alert. And it is a level 3 alert. So it is a military alert. After resolving a conquest focus, have 10 or more energy. I don't even have conquest focus to play, so the immediate penalty would be to skirmish with +1 Voidborn fleet power. I think I can handle that. So now we'll go ahead and play my final focus card, and that is, of course, my special production card with this trade token. So I'm taking all 3 actions. I'm starting with the action on the top, advance my economic track. So that goes up, and I remove a corruption, this one here, and produce materials. So I go from 0 to 15. And now I'll take this action here on the bottom, spend 1 material, increase my society track, and I don't have to pay to move into the 3rd tier because I have improved cloning. And now I can increase a pure population twice. So let's do this one once, and then that one once. So let's see, food was already maxed. Science is also maxed. Materials was maxed. Energy goes up 1 time. So it goes up to 12. Oh, and also, before I advance that track, I can pay 2 science, and that resolves that crisis card. Let's not forget to do that. And now I will take this 3rd action, spend 2 materials, so I go down to 12. And I can advance the statecraft track, gain a support agenda, which I'm not going to be able to play, so I'll just take this one. Blind draw, okay. And now I can produce food and energy. So food is going to overproduce, because I'm at 4 and I produce 15. So I'm at 15 of that. Energy just produces 12, and I was at 0. So I overproduced once. I go up to 125. Unbelievable that I produced all the basic resources and only overproduced once, but I've now taken all 3 actions on a preferred focus, so this crisis card goes away. Boy, I really messed up by, what was the last card I played? Development, by going for development instead of reinforcement. That would have been much better. Could have filled up the sector defenses in this sector and then also improved my society track again. So maybe I should have stuck with that plan, but anyway, let's return the trade token to the Galactic board. That's a roundabout way of saying I'm not feeling very good about the scoring. So let's go ahead and resolve this crisis with +1 Voidborn fleet power in the skirmish. So they're just going to skirmish at 2. So this sector's safe. If they come in with 2, I have the initiative and torpedoes. So I win that skirmish. And I believe that is it for cycle 3. So let's take a peek here. Should have been 6. Did politics, uplift, innovation, heroic progress, development, and production. That's it. So we're going into the final evaluation phase. So let's start by resolving the crisis board. So another skirmish, this time with 1, 2 Voidborn fleet power. So again, they're going to come in here. I'm going to have the initiative. I'm going to fire torpedoes, and the skirmish is over. And now I need to pay the economic track. So that is going to be 1 material, 1 energy, and 1 science. That's all fine. And I'm going to turn this one upside down because this is in hand and I don't want to confuse it now. So now I pay upkeep, and I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 from agendas, plus 11, 12, 13, and 14. When you note, I've got 15 food. So that's probably the best way to do it. So I'm down to 1 food. That's okay. And now we check for safe havens, and I have 2 pure sectors with 3 guilds and 6 populations each. So I can build 2 more levels of safe haven. 1, 2. And I get another reward for that. And I'm going to remove this Harbinger from the game. That seems like the sensible thing to do. And let's look at the Galactic event. I don't have any bankers guilds, but I can score my pure population, which is 6, 12, 17. That's helpful. 1, 2, 3. So I go from 125 to 142. That's good. I'll take that. And let's go through these agendas now. So my starting agenda, 3 influence for each stockpile with 8 or more resources in it. I've got 1 food, 11 energy, 11 materials, no credits, and 10 science. So that's 1, 2, 3 that have 8 or more. That's 9 influence. That goes up to 151. And 5 influence for each peer sector with 3 or more different guilds. And I've got 1, 2, 3 of those sectors. So that's going to be 15 influence. 156, 166, all right. If I have 4 peer sectors, I get 4 influence. I've only got 3 peer sectors, but I get 2 influence for each of these basic techs and 3 influence for these, each of those 3 improved techs. So that's 13 total. 2, 3, so that's 179. I have 0 corrupted sectors, so that's 7 influence. So that gets me up to 186. Oh, I'm just not feeling like this is going well. 4 influence for each peer sector with no empty guild slots, and I've got 3 of those. So that's another 12 influence. 198. If I have a pure civilization track at tier 3 or above, which I do, I get 4 influence. 2, 3, 4. So that's 202. And each peer sector with 3 or more population gets me 3 influence. That's another 9. I'm at 211. And then if I have 8 science in my stockpile, I get 7 influence. So that's 218. And each peer sector with 3 or more installations gets me 6. So I've got 1 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 224. I'm here to tell you that's not going to do it. That is not enough. I know that because the Voidborn are starting at 140, and I've got 2 open rifts, so that's going to get us right up to 200 already. There are no incomplete safe havens, but I did take a catastrophe, so that's up to 220, and I scored 224, so the rest is all going to be bad. There are no harbingers left on the map. There are no consumed techs, no ongoing crises, no fallen houses, but here's where I'm going to get in trouble. 2 points for each corruption, and then 1 for each population in a Voidborn sector. Let's start with the corruption. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of those. That's 18. So we're at 238, so I'm already out of it. And now we'll count up the population. We've got 2, 3, 6, 18. What is that? 22, 3, 24, 25, 31. Yowza. 1, 2, 3, and 1. That is a final score of 269 to 224. The Voidborn have defeated me by like 45 points. So it wasn't like super close. I feel like I really didn't push my tracks like I wanted to. I should have worked on that maybe a little bit harder. And I think I let too many crises go ongoing that time. It's good that I got that extra agenda at the end. I don't think I really played to my agendas very well the first 2 cycles. And then, I did get improved cloning. Like I kind of followed the path that I wanted to on techs. But I didn't get to make much use of cloning. It only saved me deactivating 1 fleet power, which I actually still had at the end of the game, so it wasn't really necessary. Although it now occurs to me that I think I've raised my population a number of times without gaining any of the benefits. So I probably would have had a few more credits if I had been paying attention, and maybe that would have gotten me like 1 more overproduction. So like we're talking a few points. I don't think that didn't cost me the game, but I am now realizing I wasn't paying attention to that. I think I just made a number of small, like not necessarily terrible, but like a number of smaller errors along the way that mostly added up to that influence gap. I guess actually if I had to do a postmortem right now in this moment, I'd say that I should have cycled through the agendas more often and a lot earlier. I wasn't real efficient about playing to the agendas I had. That's probably the main issue. And as I reflect on it a little bit, one other thing that strikes me is that there was a noticeable lack of trade token management going on, so that could have been better too. But hey, that's just how it goes sometimes. I still had a good time playing, and I hope you enjoyed watching. As a reminder, this setup was viewer requested, so if you have a particular Voidfall playthrough you'd like to see, let me know. No promises I'll show you anything useful as evidence today, but I'm always up for playing. And I have one more viewer request in the queue. I think it's a store, and I'll have to check. So that's next on the Voidfall docket, and maybe I'll start back over at the first scenario and play through them all on hard. And if you'd like to see that, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet, and leave a like and some comments, and maybe share this video with someone else who would appreciate it. And if you're extra cool, head over to my Ko-fi page, that's ko-fi, link in the description, and you can make a one-time donation to the channel for as little as $1. It is all super appreciated. But that's what I have for you this time on Table for One, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.